to our facilities. Thanks. Right now, I'd like to introduce Gilberto Antoniazzi, our CFO, who is going to say a few words.
So welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to this special event at our facility here in Bessemer City. We are delighted to have Treasury Secretary Yellen and Governor Cooper visiting Livent, and I'm sure all the employees here are also very, very happy to see them here. And Livent, which is America's original lithium company. This company roots go back to the 1940s, and our legacy for pioneering lithium research and innovation continues today right here at Bessemer City. Actually, we just had a nice visit our Clear Lab. We're excited to welcome Secretary Yellen and Governor Cooper to our facility, given our shared interest in strengthening American energy security and building a secure and resilient clean energy supply chain right here in North Carolina that can support U.S. competition. Today, our distinguished guests will be giving a tour of our world-leading facilities, here to show exactly what we do and how we play a critical role in the green energy supply chain. Livent team members will showcase, and have showcased already, the innovative work being done here and discuss the many different uses of lithium. I look forward to hearing remarks from Secretary Yellen and Governor Cooper on their vision for a more sustainable future and the role Livent and lithium will play in it. And I want to thank each of you and our guests again for joining us today. I also want to thank Bessemer City, Gaston County, and the state of North Carolina for being such a welcoming home for Livent this past nearly 70 years. We're grateful for the opportunity to continue engaging with this community, as well as state and federal leaders like Governor Cooper and Secretary Yellen. Thank you very much.
Now please welcome one of the long-standing pillars of the Livent team here in Bessemer City, Mary Lou Monty.
Hello everyone. What a wonderful day it is here at Livent's Bessemer City plant. I'm Mary Lou Mooney, and I've been part of this plant family for almost 57 years. This place has been more than just a job for me. It's been a lifetime of memories, friendships, and community. So it is with great pride and pleasure that I introduce Governor Roy Cooper. Thank you, Governor, for being with us today, for seeing the meaningful work we do here, and for your ongoing dedication to our state and its people. Now please allow me to welcome Governor Roy Cooper to the podium and invite him to share his thoughts with us all.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Lou. You know, North Carolina for the last couple of years has been ranked in this country the #1 state for business. And let me tell you why that's so. It's people like Mary Lou Monty and the men and women who make up our dedicated, skilled, diverse workforce, which is the very best in this country. That is why, you are why, North Carolina is the #1 state for business. CEOs tell me now that the most important thing that they think about every night is making sure they have the great people to do the jobs that we're all creating out there. So our great workforce is leading the way in North Carolina. Great to see Mayor Smith, all the local officials, county officials, and city officials who are here. Great to see the Livent team. I feel like I'm almost ready to come to work with the glasses and the gloves and pushing buttons, and it was fun to do. And a big welcome to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, one of the smartest people you will find, and we're delighted to welcome her to North Carolina. I'm grateful for your leadership, and I'm also grateful to the Biden-Harris administration that has provided the stimulus for Livent's expansion and great paying American jobs across this country. You know, North Carolina is becoming the epicenter for clean energy in this country. In bipartisan legislation that we passed in the General Assembly, we're now requiring our power sector, which produces our electricity, of course, to reduce carbon emissions 70% by 2030 and to get to carbon zero by 2050. My executive orders and our targeted recruitment have put us at the forefront of clean transportation, from cars to trucks to jet airliners and even boats. And the great paying jobs that come from manufacturing them and all of their parts along the supply chain, including batteries and battery components. All of this momentum is being supercharged by the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the American Rescue Plan, all pushed by the Biden-Harris administration. Now look, I and most people believe strongly that if we are to leave this magnificent planet that God has given us in better shape for our children and grandchildren, we must do our part to fight climate change. But even those who don't agree with that have to acknowledge the great paying jobs that the clean energy economy is bringing into American families, and particularly North Carolina families. The private capital markets are moving rapidly into clean energy anyway, and now the federal government has given it even more of a boost. And North Carolina, our state, our home, has caught the first wave, and we're going to keep riding it in order to make sure that we're putting the money in the pockets of North Carolina families. And I'm particularly proud that North Carolina is becoming the EV and hybrid battery central in our country. With the historic investments that Toyota has made in Randolph County, $13.9 billion investment and 5,100 jobs, the supply chain manufacturing jobs are coming fast, and Livent is going to play an important role in that. And look where we are recruiting these jobs to rural and suburban North Carolina, to places that need better paying jobs. Since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, we're putting most of our clean energy investment dollars in counties with below average wages and higher unemployment rates than the state average. And you combine that with private sector capital, we're getting a lot of bang for the buck. Secretary Yellen, we are grateful that you are here and appreciate the legislation that's in creating American jobs. And just so you know, we like those American jobs to be North Carolina jobs. I'm grateful to be here in wonderful Gaston County today. When I got off that plane and I saw that Sundrop vending machine, I knew I was in Gaston County. By the way, for those who don't know what Sundrop is, from people here all over the country, it's very addictive and it's outstanding. Thank you guys for letting me be with you, and let's keep going strong, Gaston County. Thanks very much.
Now, please welcome Livent Chief Operations and Engineering Officer, Barbara Fochman.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to stand before you today reflecting on my career journey that began over 25 years ago as a process engineer. The company has been my professional home, and I've witnessed our collective growth, innovation, and commitment to excellence. This plant at Bessemer City is not just a facility. It's the birthplace of lithium innovation, testament to our pioneering spirit in the sustainable technology. This site has been the heart of production and a hub for groundbreaking advancements and setting the pace for the industry in America and around the world. Today, we are extremely honored to welcome our distinguished guest, Secretary Treasury Janet Yellen. Secretary Yellen's visit is a testament to our shared vision of progress, sustainability, and economic leadership. Before Secretary Yellen takes stage, let me share a bit about her remarkable journey. Secretary Yellen is not just a leader in economic policy. She is also a respected academic. She was a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, where her expertise in macroeconomics and labor markets earned her wide acclaim. Her academic work provided critical insights into the complexities of the economy in which she skillfully applied in her government role. Secretary Yellen's transition from academia to public service is a story of dedication and excellence. She holds historic distinction of being the first American history to lead three of the most powerful economic bodies in the United States, serving as a chair of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. She was also appointed chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors and now Secretary of Treasury as she continues to shape our economic landscape and balancing growth with sustainability. Secretary Yellen has been a champion for U.S. competitiveness and domestic resilience for critical industries such as lithium. So please join me in welcoming Secretary Janet Yellen to stage.
Good morning, and thank you, Barbara, for the introduction, and Governor Cooper, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for all you're doing to create good jobs and advance the clean energy revolution here in North Carolina. I'm glad to be here to discuss the Biden administration's investments in manufacturing and to see firsthand here at Livent the impacts that these investments are having. Let me start with the broader context. Over the past 3 years, the Biden administration has helped drive an historic economic recovery from the pandemic, the most equitable on record. GDP growth and the labor market are strong. Inflation is now down substantially from its peak. We learned this week that our economy grew even faster in the third quarter of 2023 than we had thought, the fastest in any quarter since 2021. And that strength isn't just apparent in aggregate statistics. It reflects contributions from consumers spending more and businesses investing more, as our economy's overall strength is translating to higher real household incomes and inflation cools. Real wages, that is earnings after inflation, are growing faster this year than they were before the pandemic. This all reflects what we have seen under this administration. Even as we don't put too much weight on a single month or quarters numbers, an historically fast recovery is settling over time into sustainable growth. Now, the President and I know there's still more work to do. Higher prices can affect household budgets, and we're using the tools we have to address this in essential areas like energy and healthcare. We're also tackling structural issues that have posed challenges for decades. Our country has seen slow productivity growth, entrenched income inequality, and regional divergences. Some regions have experienced economic stagnation, while others have prospered. The President and I share a belief that addressing these challenges requires growing our economy from the bottom up and the middle out, and not the top down. This underlies the President's economic strategy, what we call Bidenomics, and it aligns with what I've called modern supply-side economics, which is increasing our long-term productive capacity while broadening economic opportunity across the country and addressing challenges like climate change. Though we're investing in many parts of our economy, reinvigorating American manufacturing is core to our strategy. The United States lost 1/3 of our manufacturing jobs between the peak in 1979 and 2019. This is in part due to increases in productivity, to trade, and other causes, but still, it affected millions of Americans. America's global share of manufacturing also fell. And this has meant a tremendous missed opportunity for American workers and for our country's economic resilience. So the Biden administration is scaling up our domestic manufacturing capacity to reverse the decades-long decline in American manufacturing. But let me be clear, we're not looking backward. We're not trying to recreate the past. We're pursuing policies fit for the American economy in the 21st century. This means investing in the future of manufacturing, rebuilding the sector in a way that's aligned with our current commitments to broaden economic opportunity and address climate change. Scaling up our domestic manufacturing capacity, particularly in new industries, can help create well-paying, middle-class jobs for Americans across the country. Serving people and places that have too often been left behind unlocks their potential to fuel our economy's growth. Domestic manufacturing can also help secure our supply chains, reducing our vulnerability to shortages, such as of key medicines and medical equipment, which we saw at the start of the pandemic. And certain manufacturing investments, such as in clean energy technologies, can drive production and innovation to meet the pressing global challenges of our time. So today I want to focus on the Inflation Reduction Act's tax credits for clean energy manufacturing and explain how they're helping us achieve 3 distinct goals: broadening economic opportunity, bolstering energy security, and propelling us toward a clean energy future. First, let me describe the credits and the boom in manufacturing we're seeing. The IRA provides tax credits for producing key inputs to the clean energy economy, from components for wind and solar energy to inverters, battery components, and critical minerals. These credits make it cheaper for companies to invest in new clean energy technologies, and the long-term time frame over which they'll be available means that producers will benefit not just from lower costs, but also from increased stability. Before the IRA, producers of clean energy lacked certainty. Important tax incentives routinely had short expiration dates. They needed to be reauthorized. With the IRA, clean energy producers and their suppliers can have confidence that their investments in American manufacturing will continue to be good business decisions. Producers and investors are also indirectly incentivized by other IRA provisions. The IRA's supply-side incentives are complemented by demand-side incentives, including tax credits for purchasing qualified electric vehicles that will be available at the time of sale starting next year. We expect U.S. demand for EVs to continue to increase under this new structure, fueling the U.S. EV market's rapid expansion. And as demand for EVs increases, manufacturers of battery components, for example, will see even more reason to increase manufacturing capacity to meet it. Growth in battery manufacturing for EVs will also support the production of other manufactured goods, such as cells for handheld devices and electric grid-scale batteries. These incentives, alongside the administration's other actions, are working. Spurred on by President Biden's economic plan, America is seeing a renaissance in manufacturing. Since the start of the administration, private companies have announced $614 billion in manufacturing and clean energy investments, including $142 billion in EVs and batteries, and $71 billion in clean energy manufacturing. In just the first year after the passage of the IRA, companies announced plans to build 83 clean energy manufacturing facilities across the country. And we're seeing the emergence of a battery belt across the Midwest and South. Capacity in the pipeline increased from around 700 gigawatt hours before the passage of the IRA to 1,200 this past July. That's a 70% increase. North Carolina has been the site of major developments, including announcements of an $8 billion expansion of battery production lines in Liberty and $165 million for a new lithium-ion battery manufacturing plant in Morrisville. And here in Bessemer, Livent is building on an 80-year history to create a crucial supply hub for lithium-ion batteries. It has built the first new lithium hydroxide production facility in North America in more than a decade, expanding its U.S. lithium hydroxide manufacturing capacity by 50%. This is the country's largest facility, and Livent cites the IRA as a key driver of its investments. The boom in manufacturing, driven by the IRA's tax credits, is helping us achieve the first goal I mentioned, namely broadening economic opportunity. Unemployment is already near historic lows, with a larger share of those between 25 and 54 years old employed than we have seen in 20 years. But this administration is focused on how to ensure growth and jobs for middle-class Americans for the long term, and whether or not they have a four-year college degree. And that's where manufacturing comes in. The IRA is creating well-paying jobs for construction workers, mechanics, technicians, electricians, and support staff, and in significant numbers. Key IRA provisions, such as prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements, mean workers for certain clean energy projects will be fairly compensated, and they'll have pathways into these growing industries. Employers will gain access to a stable workforce equipped with the right skills. Upskilling workers is being further supported by the growth of workforce development programs, including Livent's Workforce Development Partnership with Gaston College. And organized labor is powerfully taking action to expand worker protections across the country. I saw the key role that unions play in training workers in these sectors during my visit to the IBEW facility in Las Vegas earlier this year. Investments are also flowing to where they are most needed. New Treasury analysis shows that 86% of IRA-related investments have been in counties with below-average college graduation rates. This trend is supported by other IRA provisions not directly applicable to the manufacturing credits, such as boosts for investment in low-income communities and historic energy communities. Investments in clean energy manufacturing are also helping achieve a second goal, and that is bolstering our energy security. Our country's energy security is dependent on the resilience of our supply chains. And for too long, the supply of critical raw materials and the manufacturing capacity to process them have been too concentrated beyond our borders. Key supply chains in areas like clean energy are overconcentrated in China, in part due to unfair non-market practices over decades. And overdependence, including on China, makes America more vulnerable to risks that can disrupt our access to that foreign production, from natural disasters to macroeconomic forces to deliberate actions such as economic coercion. And disrupted access can result in economic disruption and higher prices for American consumers. So, America must increase efforts to bolster its energy and economic security, which is why the Biden administration is pursuing far-ranging efforts to shore up our critical supply chains. America benefits from strong relations with our allies and partners, and through what I've called friendshoring, we're seeking to strengthen our economic resilience by diversifying our supply chains across a wide range of trusted allies and partners. But our long-term security also depends on shoring up our domestic manufacturing capacity, which the IRA is now enabling. And we see that here in Bessemer, where Livent will source inputs from close partners like Canada and carry out critical processing steps in the United States, helping automakers meet the IRA's rules for sourcing battery components and critical minerals. And with massive increases in domestic manufacturing capacity, our country will become less dependent on other countries for the inputs we need, and we will make great strides toward energy security. Finally, from batteries to solar to wind, increasing domestic manufacturing through the IRA's tax credits is also propelling us forward on the path to a third goal, reaching the clean energy future we need to address and prevent the mounting physical and economic impacts of climate change. President Biden has set ambitious targets, reducing emissions by 50 to 52% from 2005 levels in 2030 and achieving net zero by no later than 2050. Meeting these targets depends at least in part on investing in clean energy technologies and the IRA is the most significant climate legislation in this country's history. It's helping put us on track. The IRA is fueling not just investment, but also innovation at American companies that will help the whole industry advance. Livent's innovation team is creating, I saw this morning, cutting-edge lithium products to produce smaller batteries that hold more power and provide more range. This morning, I was able to see this printable lithium firsthand, and investments at home help bring down the cost of clean energy technologies globally by as much as 25%, driving increased uptake of clean energy technologies and global emissions reductions. So with that, thank you again for having me here today. We're restoring manufacturing to its rightful place as a key driver of the American economy. And we're doing it in a way that meets the needs of the current moment and allows us to take forward some of this administration's key policy priorities: broadening economic opportunity, securing our supply chains, and achieving our climate goals. It has been only 15 months since the IRA was passed, but we're already seeing tremendous change, and it's a testament to President Biden's vision for investing in America, a ready private sector, and the strength of American workers. In the years ahead, the impacts will increase, serving communities across the country and building our country's long-term economic strength so that there are benefits for generations to come. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. Thank you.